We are starting with the 13th lecture of this series. In this lecture, we are going to see some economy topics. Remember that we are moving to economy topics, but a very few of the science and technology and environment fringe topics are remaining. We will not be escaping any topic at all. Every topic will be covered, whatever came in these months, either in the video format or otherwise the PPT will have it for sure. So let us start with economy section now. Our first topic is Payments Infrastructure Development Fund, PIDF. Before understanding this topic, you should remind yourself that Nandan Nilekani Committee, chaired by Nandan Nilekani Committee, it was created to deepen digital payment system in India. So Nandan Nilekani Committee only had suggested that in a small towns, you leave tier 1 and tier 1 towns. You have to focus on tier 3 to tier 6. That means tier 3, 4, 6, 5, 6. Very small towns and also the northeastern states of India, because the digital payment is not very good there. So instead of creating ATM, we can go for point of sale machine only, and your debit card can be used. Your overdraft linked Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana card can be used. All those can be used to withdraw money from point of sale machine, but not credit card. You remember that, but not credit card. So in accordance with the Nandan Nilekani Committee suggestions, RBI has done something. RBI said that okay fine, we are doing this, and Reserve Bank of India has announced the creation of 500 crore Payment Infrastructure Development Fund. Previously also you should remember that Reserve Bank of India had announced in the rural areas for the acceptance of digital infrastructure of the payment, Reserve Bank of India had created Payment Acceptance Fund previously last year. Now they have come up with Payment Infrastructure Development Fund. See, this is 500 crore fund. Out of that, RBI will be contributing 250 crore and the other 250 crore will be contributed by the banks who are issuing the cards for the point of sale machine. There will be recurring payment also, because there will be operational losses, operational cost. So for that recurring payment will be done by banks. And suppose if there is some viability gap, so that gap will be filled up by RBI. If any shortage, then RBI will do this. So very good thing. Everyone, banks and RBI are collaborating together in a good way, that okay, if the loss is there, then RBI is saying that we will be contributing more, don't worry. But initially also RBI is giving 250 crore out of this 500. This whole system, PIDF, Payment Infrastructure Development Fund, will be administered by an advisory council, and that advisory council will be under the RBI. India is already doing very good in digital payment, so this will be a further very good step. Also, Nandan Nilekani Committee had suggested that if you are importing the point of sale machine, you should do away with the import duty, so that many point of sale machines can be imported in India and should be employed in tier 3 to tier 6 cities. Also, RBI had said that, Nandan Nilekani Committee had said that, in the point of sale transaction, you can do one thing. If the amount is 5,000 or less than 5,000, you should do away with the GST also. So now come to the topic. Aim of the Payment Infrastructure Development Fund is encouraging deployment of point of sale infrastructure machine. What is point of sale? You know already, right? Those small ATM like machines. This one, you can see that, this one. Now also remember that this point of sale machine encouragement is being done at the physical level and digital level, both of them. Physical and digital, both of them. So you can use even your UPI for this machine. Tier 3 and tier 6 cities and northeastern states. Now already told you that this is in line with the Nandan Nilekani Committee report. PIDF is in line with the measures proposed by the Vision Document on Payment and Settlement System in India 2019-2021 that came after Nandan Nilekani Committee. It is also in line with RBI's proposal to set up Acceptance Development Fund. Already set in the last year, this proposal came by RBI, Acceptance Development Fund for the acceptance of digital payment in the rural areas, which will be used to develop card acceptance infrastructure across the small towns and cities. And remember that this is about debit card, not your credit card, right? And overdraft facility of Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana will also be there. So that is kind of a credit system, but that is done through your electronic card related to Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. So you cannot call it credit card. Payment Infrastructure Development Fund, recurring contribution. Okay, the PIDF will receive recurring contributions to cover any operational expenses from Who will provide this recurring contribution? The card issuing banks and card networks. And if there is any yearly shortfall, RBI will be giving the viability gap funding. Governance will be done through advisory council, and that advisory council will be managed by RBI. So overall, the whole infrastructure payment infrastructure development fund will be managed by RBI through its advisory council. Why there is a need? You have so many POS terminals in country concentrated in tier 1 and tier 2 cities, because there is high cost of merchant acquisition and merchant terminalization. So the rural areas are not doing this. In the urban areas, you have so many people paying for and so much businesses, so everybody is coming here. But in the rural areas, there is viability gap problem, so the companies are not going there. So if there is viability gap problem, so RBI has taken a step, 250 crore rupees. Now let us come to the tier 3 to tier 6 cities also, towns also. Merchant onboarding and training is a key challenge again. Who will manage this system in digital payment in a smaller towns and cities? So everything has a solution. Everything has a solution. That solution is money. So RBI is providing that. Merchant onboarding means adding the new merchant in a payment gateway system. That is a technical thing. Benefit is what? It will give a push to the digital payment across India. That is all about this. Now a very interesting topic actually. Shapes of economic recovery. Because of COVID lockdown and also because of various problems in Indian economy, India is going through some problem in economy, right? So various economists has converged that okay fine, we are going to be in a problem. There is a unanimous condition in the current financial year Indian economy will contract, and already contracted data has come, this. Now the difference of opinion is about extent of this contraction. Some people are saying that there will be minus 4%, some people said that 14%, and also there is prediction about recovery of the Indian economy. So for recovery, you have various shapes of economic recovery. Now we will be discussing all the shapes, but if you talk about India, all the experts are almost converging on the fact that India will see U-shaped economic recovery. And it will start recovering in the financial year 2021 to 22 with a elongated U-shaped recovery. So is elongated U-shaped recovery very good, or it is having some problem? You will see this. If you see the U-shaped recovery, this already was a case in United States. See this shape. This shape. Can you see the GDP was going fine? Then it went down. Now see the bottom, this is U-shaped, right? So this bottom is very much elongated. So this is a very long period, already so much losses to the economy. This happened in US. India is going to have this U-shaped recovery. The experts are saying, we will see what recovery we make, but experts are saying that if we had V-shaped recovery, that would have been very great. This happened in Canada. See the bottom area, very small area, a little bit down, then very fast they recovered. This happened in Canada. In this V-shaped recovery, economic output falls suddenly. It was going fine, sudden fall, and then climb back to its old path very quickly. But like a Z recovery, it does not make up the lost time with a show of exuberance. I will show you what is Z-shaped recovery. This V-shaped recovery was shown by Canada in global financial crisis of 2008. Canada went through this kind of recovery. This happened when your businesses have not collapsed and workers have not been displaced due to long lockdown. So very much possible that India will not see this good recovery V-shaped. We will see the US kind of U-shaped recovery because where workers were replaced during the lockdown. Canada made a quick V-shaped recovery, but US spent longer at the bottom of its pits. It already relates to 2008. No economy is recovering still for COVID lockdown. Okay, everybody is in problem. But we had some case scenario in 2000 global financial crisis. From that, we are getting this recovery curves. So Canada had V-shaped, US had U-shaped. See, the economy may crawl back to its old growth path in U-shaped. But because of the longer time taken in the U-shape, the economic loss, that is size of the pit, this pit size is economic loss, right? In every, this is swoosh recovery. You can see this is also loss to the economy. So economy loss is much bigger. This kind of long drawn recovery damages labor supply and productivity, and sometimes labor is replaced. So that is a problem. So U-shaped recovery is done, V-shaped recovery is done. India is going to have U-shaped recovery as per the expert opinion. Anything can happen. We want V-shaped recovery obviously, but probably that will not happen. What are the other shapes of the recovery? The worst scenario is this W-shaped recovery. You had good economy, fine, your shape went down. You tried to recover, but when you tried to recover, for example, the pandemic comes again, you again fall down. This is something happening in India right now. The cases are increasing again, right? So your economy fell down once, then again the pandemic again came up, second chance, and then again the economy went down, then you recover. See, this area is very large, so this is the worst scenario. W shape is worst scenario. Probably India will not see that, don't worry. And other ones is L shaped. This L shaped is another nightmare, but far worse than W curve. Here you see, here the economy makes a deep dive, see, dive, never surfaces again. So the economy adjusts to the new GDP. You see, this GDP fell down and the economy now adjusts to this the lower GDP. So this is a worst scenario. In fact, W shape is better than this. W shape was having the recovery, but there is no recovery here. Never returns to the old path. It is possible outside the world of economic theory. It says that they are questioning that. Is it possible? Yes. Your Greece is stuck in this L-shaped recovery curve for 12 years after the recession, and that is why Greece was once upon a time facing bankruptcy. This is only because of Germany goodwill and the other European Union countries goodwill that they provided the Greece bailout. Otherwise, Greece was going to get stuck in this recovery shape for forever. This is Z-shaped recovery curve. This is Z-shaped recovery curve. This is the best case scenario. It is better than even V case. You see what happened? A little bit fall, then sudden rise, and then positive rise, right? Adjusting to the old path is okay, but in between it went down to bounce back. So that is very good recovery. You are compensating for the loss and even you are making more growth. This area is larger. So it is almost as if the recession never happened. People stopped going out and buying stuff for a while, but then workers continued to be paid. Then everybody went out, everybody had the money, and they made the lost time by buying, traveling, and partying with vengeance. Okay, this is a metaphorical also a little bit. So everybody has strike by just for example in UPSC you give an attempt and you have scored in prelims 60 marks, but then what you did, you waited for one more year, June exam, and then you waited for one more year and this time you have scored 125 and you qualified your CSE also and forestry also. So it seems to the people around you that there was no loss because you have scored 60. Everyone forgot that. Now you are qualifying both the prelims examination, and then you wrote very good mains examination also. Then you qualified for the interview of both also. Then you got single digit rank in both also. So this is something Z side curve, right? You compensated for the loss and also you bounced back in a way that it seems like आपने बदला ले लिया, सबका बदला लिया यहाँ पे, right? A to Z shape, a Z-shaped curve recovery happens when a recession is followed by a phase of exuberance. A very good thing. Will that happen in India? Probably no chances. A little bit in the shape related to V curve is swoosh curve, a cross between V and U. You see, a cross between V and U. The one side is like V, and then you have other side is like U, and named after a popular footwear logo, swoosh. This model shows rapid recovery initially due to unlock measures, for instance. So the bottom of the pit looks like V-shaped, but then it slows down. Initially it will see the rapid recovery, but then a little delayed, right? Little delayed like U-shaped. This takes a long time than your V-shaped curve, but still it is a very good recovery. Don't worry about that. U-shaped I already explained. Any other recovery curve remaining? V-shaped is done. W-shaped is done. Now come about the K-shape. If people and businesses are, this is K-shaped, right? Kind of K-shape. If people and businesses are boats and the recovery is a tide, it will not lift all boats equally. So that means if people and businesses are boats and recovery is a tide, it will not lift all boats equally. That means no equality. Equity might be there. Some institutions will recover fast, others will not recover. Some will be more buoyant, who had the resilience, they will recover fast. This idea is represented by your K curve. It is another way of saying that the recovery will increase inequality. I told you, inequality will increase in the society, and when growth revives, its benefits will flow to the people at the top. The top businessmen benefit and the normal people do not benefit. For instance, the stock market is doing well at the time when the higher street is not. Stock market is doing well, but your streets and everything in the normal population, everything is not happening good. So again, those 1% rich people, the top rich people will get benefit, the bottom people will not get. Employed, if you see the income of the employed and unemployed, this is how it. Employed people will get recovery very fast, and the unemployed people will settle back to the new fall, and they will adjust to this. So the poor become more poor and the rich become more rich. Fine. So this is all about recovery shapes. Now Moody has downgraded India's rating for the first time in 22 years. This is a global rating agency, Moody, Standard and Poor and everyone, but Moody is very important. Moody's Investor Service has downgraded India's sovereign rating from Baa3, Ba3, you remember Ba3, okay, from Ba2. Ba2 is considered good than Ba3. So now we have been downgraded to Ba3 from Ba2 with the outlook of the country remaining negative. Our overall outlook of the country, India, remains negative. So we have been downgraded from Ba2 to Ba3. So let us learn something about Moody's rating. Moody's Investor Service, often referred to as Moody's, whole name is Moody's Investor Service, often referred to as a Moody, is a bond credit rating business. So it will rate what? It will rate your sovereign bond of the government of India, right? That tells everything about your economy. If your bond is rated high, that means your economy can be trusted more. So does it rate only government bonds? No, the commercial bonds are also rated. C, provides international financial research on bonds issued by commercial and government entities. And then you have a Standard and Poor, Fitch Group, Moody's. These are considered one of the three big credit rating agencies. So if Moody does anything, it impacts investors. They will take a decision whether they want to invest in India or not. And also Standard and Poor and Fitch Group are equally important. So we have to improve our rating in all these three listings: Moody's, S&P and Fitch Group. So how they rate any bond? They see expected investor loss in the event of default. That means whether this country or whether this company can be trusted or not. We are the borrowers, right? If you are having the bond, you are the borrower. So the government of India is seen as a borrower in this case. And Moody will see that if any investor is giving money to government of India, then what are the chances that Indian government will default on that payment and Indian government will not pay the interest, or Indian government will not pay the original bond price. That is seen. In that, India's outlook is negative, which is sometimes not true also. But the credit rating agencies are very much not transparent, right? Very much not transparent. So their intentions can be ill intention. It can happen also. In Moody's rating system, securities are assigned a rating from AAA to C, with AAA being the highest quality and C the lowest quality, and you are in Ba3 now from Ba2. To each of these ratings, Moody's adds numerical modifiers 1, 2, 3 with a lower number signifying a better rating. So what is that? AAA 1, 2, 3, then B AA 1, 2, 3, then you have C, something like that. And lower number signifies a better rating. Lower number is not 3, right? In the index you don't say lower number. That means lower in the amount quantity. So your Ba2 was better rating. Now you are Ba3. 2. That means 2 is smaller than 3, right? This is the meaning of lower, not like 1, 2, 3 and 3 is lower. Not like that, okay? Ba3 is considered considered worse than Ba2. So how the ratings are done? These credit rating agencies rate the financial, that means commercial and business models of the companies, how your finances are run, how is your business model and everything, as well as economic management by sovereign governments. So companies also are rated, their finances and business model are seen, and the economic management of a sovereign government is seen. So that is how the government securities are also rated. Then they will analyze the official and other data, they will collaborate the data, they will also interact with the government official, talk to them, the business leaders' opinion will be taken, economist will be consulted. So economist can have an opinion, right? Government official can have an opinion, business leaders can have an opinion. So a little bit of vagueness here because the opinion is being taken into account. So it is never perfect. Otherwise, all the rating agencies would have the same rating for every country. not for every country, I mean for India, Standard and Poor, Fitch and Moody's should all have the same rating exactly. But does that happen? No. So there are some problems. It is not to be something very discouraged about. Indian government will see what they want to do. The agencies that rate instruments, such as they will rate what? Bonds, debentures, almost similar thing. The naming is different according to US and UK. Commercial papers, deposits, and other debt offering companies or governments to help investors make informed decision. The final purpose is to make to inform an investor that whether you should invest in this company or whether you should not, whether you should buy the government securities of this country or you should not. They do it on a continuous basis. They will upgrade or downgrade depending on the situation. The instruments based on your performance, prospects that is future prospects, or any events likely to have an impact on the balance sheet or the fiscal position. So this is about the rating. What is the significance? Already told you that investor will come to know whether this country or company can be trusted or not. From a company's or a government's perspective, if you are talking about the borrower is what? Government or the company who is issuing the bonds. If you see from that perspective, a better rating helps raise funds at a cheaper rate, because the other people will be trusting you. So even if you offer less interest, they will buy your bonds because they know that you will not default, right? You know this, na? In economic principle, there is a concept. If you have huge risk, you will have high return. Everywhere there is huge risk, there is high return, and if there is no risk, the return will be less. So any country which can be trusted can borrow loans from companies, or any company which can be trusted, or any government which can be trusted, they can borrow loans at a cheaper rate because their bonds are trusted, their securities are trusted, they will not default. So the people will think that this is a very stable country or company, so we can invest in that even if we get the less return, but we will get for sure. It is from the companies and governments, the borrower's perspective. It has an impact on companies planning to borrow overseas through bonds or foreign loans. Fine. They will take this into long-term account, that how much we are trusted, so how can we borrow money from investors outside the country. As investors or banks abroad may well seek higher interest rates because of weak prospects. If you have weak prospect, they will charge you, okay fine, we can give you the money, but the Moody has downgraded your rating, so we cannot trust you. So if we are investing in your company, instead of 7%, we want 10% return. So now this 10% extra 3% returns becomes a cost to the company, cost to the government. Hence, firms and many governments that borrow from the international markets are mindful of rating downgrades. So it is a problem for India. If Indian government wants to borrow from outside entities, now they will have to offer higher interest rate. And what is the significance from the investor side? You know already. One investor cannot go to every company and every country and come to know that, okay fine, we can invest or not. They will depend on the ratings only. So that is their significance. And from company and government perspective, I already told you the significance. The next topic is Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund. This has been launched by Union Minister of Animal Husbandry. You know this, right? Ministry of Agriculture is bifurcated now, and the Union Minister of Animal Husbandry is a separate ministry from the Agricultural Ministry. So Animal Husbandry and allied sectors. So Union Minister of Animal Husbandry launched the implementation guidelines. How we are going to implement this Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund. Everybody is focusing on Infrastructure Development Fund, right? RBI also. And now this Animal Husbandry Ministry also is focusing on Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund. In short, it is called Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund, AHIDF. This is a first type of a scheme for private sector. This scheme is for private sector. So what they are going to do is that 15,000 crore fund will be created, and the interest subvention scheme for private investor will ensure availability of capital to meet upfront investment required for these projects. I will tell you everything, don't worry. And also help enhance overall return or payback for investors. So first of all, they will provide this fund 15,000 crore. Now if any borrower, private investor, is willing to invest in animal husbandry, they can borrow from this and interest subvention will be provided. That means what? If the interest rate is 7%, government will pay 2% out of it, and the private investor will have to pay only 5%. So how much is interest subvention? Interest subvention is 2%. So you are providing 15,000 crore rupees in AHIDF, and also you are providing interest subvention scheme for private investor. This will ensure availability of capital to meet upfront investment in animal husbandry projects. Upfront investment is initial investment, direct investment, and that will help enhance overall returns. You made a good investment, so your returns will be more. This is like boost to the start of the business in animal husbandry. What about the eligible beneficiaries? The eligible beneficiaries under the scheme would be farmer producer organization, FPOs. Those farmer producer organizations are also being connected directly to the APMC. The central government is trying to connect FPO directly to your electronic national marketing. Government is trying to connect FPO organizations directly to ENAM, and that is why states are unhappy. Previously your APMC market which are under the state were connected, but these APMC act market were to remove the middleman, but these markets only started acting like middleman. So the central government is saying that we will directly contact FPOs, farmer producer organization, so that inter-state businesses can be done through electronic national agriculture market. So those are FPOs. So FPOs are eligible. Micro, small and medium enterprises are eligible. The definition of micro, small, medium enterprises has been changed. You should Google and tell me in the comment what are the criteria, and is there any difference between service sector and manufacturing sector. You should also tell me that. Section 8, companies, private companies, individual entrepreneurs, if any willing individual entrepreneurs with minimum 10% margin money contribution by them. They will be contributing minimum 10% margin money, and balance 90% would be the loan component to be made available by scheduled banks. Very easy. 10% you have to invest, but 90% will be provided by loan component by scheduled banks. This funding will be used 15,000 crore for that loan purposes. Government of India will provide 3% interest subvention. I give you an example of 2%, but the eligible beneficiaries will get 3% interest subvention on any such investment. What about the repayment of the loan? 2 years moratorium period for principal loan amount. So if you had taken 7 crore, or you had taken, this is a very big example, if you had taken 5 lakh, this is the principal amount, then your interest amount. For 5 lakh you have 2 years moratorium period, and for principal loan amount, and 6 years repayment period thereafter. Fine. 6 years is repayment period and 2 years moratorium period for principal loan amount. For 2 years they will not ask you anything. Government of India would also set up credit guarantee fund of rupees 750 crore to be managed by NABARD, National Agriculture Bank and Rural Development, NABARD. This will also do the credit guarantee fund, and 750 crore credit guarantee fund is being created in NABARD. Now what this credit guarantee fund will do? Credit guarantee would be provided to those section projects which are covered under MSME defined ceiling. MSME defined ceiling, that is why I'm asking you the MSME ceilings. Okay, you have to tell me the MSME ceilings, the new ones. The gazette notification came in July only. Guarantee coverage would be up to 25% of credit facility of borrower. So borrower has got 100 rupees. There will be guarantee coverage of 25% or 25. Borrower gets 100 rupees. They will have a guarantee of at least return of 25 rupees. This is just like you have DICGC and everything, right? So NABARD has created this credit guarantee fund. Also, you have a small Industries Development Board of India, Bank of India, SIDBI, right? So SIDBI has a portal, Udyami Mitra. Udyami means entrepreneur, the businessman who is just starting a business. So SIDBI has Udyami portal. Udyami portal can be used by these beneficiaries. The beneficiaries intending to invest for establishing, no, this is for animal husbandry, previous one was, but if we are going for dairy and meat processing industry and any value addition infrastructure, then this is not all about NABARD, this is not about rural. Now you can go to SIDBI. Okay, you understand the difference. First one was normal animal husbandry. Now you are going in the processing industry, dairy, meat, value addition infrastructure, or strengthening your existing infrastructure. Then you can apply for the loan in a scheduled bank through Udyami Mitra portal of the SIDBI. So this is all in this lecture. Let us see you tomorrow, and tomorrow more topics will be covered so that your syllabus can be completed in time. Thank you all.